Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now, here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Joe Polish, Roland Frazier, and Joe DeSena. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 26 years. So if you're a company that has software, a product, or a design you want protected, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You could also check out the book I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called The ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have with me here today Monica Floyd. Monica is the founder of Truevision Media Group, a full-service music, film, and video production company. Through Truevision, Monica endeavors to inspire others through the arts and to enhance the human experience through visual arts and entertainment. In addition to being a media executive and producer, Monica is an accomplished leader throughout the entertainment industry. She served as a director, a producer, a manager, a writer, also as a comedian, an actor, and a successful recording artist. She's produced a variety of films, including the Netflix popular family film, The App That Stole Christmas, as well as Lucky Girl, 48 Hours to Live, the Spike Lee film, The Sweet Blood of Jesus, and many more, as well as many others in various stages of production. A consummate deal maker, visionary, and an inspirational leader, I am very pleased to welcome here my good friend, Monica Floyd. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Rich, for having me. I'm super duper excited because it's you. I'm happy to be here. My trademark and patent guru friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm glad to be doing this today because it's you. And, and it's really like just so fun and exciting to have you here on my program because, we met on Clubhouse. For those that don't know what Clubhouse is it's an audio only chat application where, people get to go in different rooms and talk with groups of people. And we met there and we became fast friends. And we've been on different programs there on Clubhouse. Monica has been just a constant supporter of me in my rooms when I'm doing patent and trademark rooms. And when she's doing rooms, I'm there, and she invites me on stage all the time. We've just kind of really gotten to connect on that, and that's been so much fun. But it's great to do this together and to get to talk about you and you as a leader and about the things that you've done to date in your life as well as what's coming. So exciting.
Yes.
And so I guess let's reel it back. Let's start with kind of like how you got rolling. I know that you started out by, studying engineering in high school, just like me. We both went to pre-engineering high schools. So much fun. And I think that kind of gave you a bit of background for what was to come in the entertainment industry. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It was up from there because I always tell people, when they say, when they talk about high school, I don't even really look at my high school as a high school. I look at it like an experience because I was welding at the age of 14. And when I look back now, I'm like, that's pretty scary. 14, when I look at my daughters when they were 14 and me being 14, catching a bus to school from Baltimore City to the suburbs to a school where there weren't a lot of people who looked like me. First of all, there were limited females. It was like an all-male school, maybe 15% females and maybe 3% Black females. And so it was pretty scary, but I would always say, if it's not crazy or if it's not hard, I'm not interested in it. Everything that's difficult, I'm interested. I'm sucked into it just by nature. I don't know. I don't know whether it's because of my sign or because something I was just born with. But yeah, the engineering thing is such a blessing. College prep school, academically accelerated. I didn't know anything about welding. I didn't know anything about architecture, like mechanical drawing, physics. Such a workload for a 14-year-old. And I just remember having to do a lot of homework, but I didn't study a lot because we're going to go to this, the arts. My heart was always in the arts. So I was always on the track team or the dance team or theater groups. And so I suffered, I was like, I laugh and say I was like a B student, BC student. When I went to the engineering school, I was exceptional. I had like a 98, almost 100 average. But then when I went to the engineering school, I wasn't like the smartest in the school anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I could relate to that as well. And so your heart was in the arts, but I guess like the entertainment business has become so technical, right? I mean, it just kind of seems that like to do what you're doing now in terms of producing films, producing media, like having just kind of like having that experience of getting to learn about technology must have been kind of unexpectedly a big part in what you do now, and like in being able to navigate the highly technical entertainment business these days.
Yeah, I found myself when I started my company, Truevision Media Group, I found myself saying to myself, I'm not going to be online. I'm not going to be downloading music. I'm not going to be downloading apps. I hired people to do all that for me because, like I said, at 14 and 15, I was inputting data into computers to get something that would say end of successful compilation. And if it was an error, you had to go back in, put the right data in. And I was like a grown person at 14, 15. So now when I was in my 20s, in my 30s, I'm not doing any of that. I don't want to do anything technical. I don't want to get on the computer and do anything. So I just hired people to do everything for me. But when the pandemic came, okay, now, Monica, you have to do everything like Zoom. I hated setting up the Zoom. I don't want to do it, but I feel the importance of I should know how to do it, because then that means you're always going to need somebody. And I don't like to need people.
Yeah, right.
I like to be self-sufficient.
No, absolutely. And so you kind of went on, like you always had your heart in the arts. And at the same time, though, you worked in a variety of fields that were non-art related. And so you were involved in the automobile business, right? So you were in sales and you led teams of salespeople. So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I just knew in my head, I was like, okay, I'm in my 20s, probably 23 years old, young Black girl, 23 years old. Okay, now you have a choice. I was in a singing group because I auditioned. I moved from Maryland. I got picked to be in a singing group. That didn't work out. I didn't like the management. So I got out of the singing group after 9 months. So it's like, okay, you really have to get a job. There was no option of me sleeping in my car, or compromising my values. So it's like, what are you going to do? So I had gotten a job at the Daily News, the newspaper company. And I just remember selling newspapers by the phone from a script, like cold calling. And then I just made up my own script and I just became the top salesperson. And even when I didn't speak Spanish, I learned how to speak Spanish so I could get the Spanish clientele as well. And then I said, well, now I need to make more money because I wanted to, live in the safe communities with the guard gates. And, because again, I was a female. So I saw an article in a paper and it said you can make $20,000. I think it was a month. And so I applied and I got a job. It was a Mazda dealership. Didn't know anything about cars. I didn't know the difference between a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder. And I just remember walking in there and I remember walking through the service department and the guys were looking and, laughing because, of course, I had on heels and a skirt. And they were like, oh, my gosh, she's coming to sell cars. She's not going to last 2 days. And I heard them and I was like, they have no idea who they're dealing with. And so I just took home, I remember taking home about 10 brochures, reading them from cover to cover, learning the drivetrains, whether it was double wishbone suspension or McPherson struts or aluminum cast iron engine. I just was so excited about it. And then it took me back to the whole, okay, you got this. You went to an engineering school, so you're built for this. And so I learned the product, and I just remember learning how to do a walk around on the vehicle. And when people would come in and they see me, they think, oh, wait a minute, this little girl, she's going to sell me a car. And then I would walk around, do my presentation. And then I would go from this little girl with dimples, giggling and singing. And then when we walk in the office and it's time to make the deal, I would get serious. Like, okay, now look, if the terms and the conditions are agreeable, are we buying this today? Because I know I had Toyota across the street. I had Honda across the street. I had Nissan down the street. And Mazda was a product that Mazda had the best warranty, but it wasn't the most popular car. You know, there were more Toyotas being sold and more Hondas being sold. And so I had to compete with the Toyota dealership on the strip and the Honda dealership. So I had to be exceptional at selling, knowing the product and selling. And so in my mind, if you sat down in my office, you weren't leaving without the car. Mm. And so I would buy food, I would have crayons for the kids. I mean, whatever it was, we were going to make that deal. And I just remember after the first month, I think I was number one every month for 9.5 years, except 1 month. And once I did the automobile business, I knew and I learned. And if I take that out of my journey and off of my resume, I would be a different person, because I got to meet every nationality. I mean, I got to sit in my office with Asians and Persians and Russians and Armenians. And I was so interested in the culture. I would sit there and talk half of the time about the deal and the other half about the culture, where they're from. And, you know, I would make them teach me how to write certain things down and put the accent marks. And it was just such an experience. I loved my life, but I was always working. You know, I was always working. I didn't have family, had friends, but I was just always working because I loved it, you know?
Yeah. And so like that was valuable experience in terms of sales, in terms of getting to know people, getting to know other cultures, but also leadership, right? You got the opportunity to begin to lead other people and give them the opportunity to excel.
Yeah. Like after a year, I think it was like after a year, maybe a year and 2 months, they made me a manager, team manager. And then I would train maybe like a team of 7 people and teach them how to do the walkarounds, teach them the steps to sales. And it was mainly all males. You know, we had few females in the dealership over the whole 9 years. And I was built, you know, I was tough. And I just, like you said, I went immediately into a leadership role. And it was just fun to me, you know, because I could serve people. And I really like serving people.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think we're kind of getting a bit of a picture of like the making of Monica Floyd. So for, you know, we've got the engineering background, and now we've got the experience that has you excel at sales and at leading people and learning about people, and, you know, which all came together in your career. But let's now move to the arts. So then you worked really hard, you know, doing something which wasn't arts related, but you excelled at it. So how did you transition over into directly working in the arts?
Yeah. So when I got to the point where I trained my sales team, then I didn't have to be as hands-on. So once my team got to be really, really good, I could go and leave and go on auditions. I could, not only would I do auditions, I could start doing demo tapes. I would get back to the music. I would go in the studio and record my demo tapes. Then I ended up opening a comedy club. So I would do the dealership by day, and then I would do the comedy club. In the dealership, I was making so much money. I invested in my demo, in my music, and in the comedy clubs. And so everything just fell in place. And I just know I had to go down those roads like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, I needed this and I needed that and I needed that and needed that. I actually already had it, but I discovered these things as I went on my journey and met some great people. They gave me things to make me better. I gave them things to make them better. So yeah, I started doing the arts because, like I said, it was a passion. I wouldn't leave my family in Maryland to come. I left my family to come and perform and be in a singing group. But when I left the singing group, I found myself having to make a good living so I could be safe. And so I got back to the arts. I could afford to invest in myself, and I got back to the arts.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, and you yourself have performed as a comedian, and you've managed other comedians and produced comedy shows. You've done a lot of different things in entertainment, in addition to being a successful recording artist. And though you brought it together and you founded Truevision Media Group, which I mean, at first I thought it was just a name, and then I kind of got it. So tell me about the Truevision, like really what your vision is for for the company and for really what you're creating in the world.
Yeah, so the transition happened when I was doing comedy and taking the experience from the automobile business, knowing how to negotiate and do deals. I met a lot of comedians who were my peers at the time. And so they would be opening up for, say, a musician like a Patti LaBelle or an Anita Baker or Bruce Springsteen, any recording artist. And so I would say, oh, what are they going to pay you? And so they would say, oh, I'm going to get $1,500 for a 15-minute set. And I would say, well, let me negotiate. I can get you $2,500.
Right.
So I started negotiating their deals. And then that's when comedians start saying, oh, we want you to manage us. And so I said, I don't know if I want to manage anybody. What I want to do is get a degree in cinema and television so I could produce comedy specials for the comedians. And because once you discover that you're serving people, you're growing as an individual and I was providing a venue for them to grow as comedians. They could perform on stage. Then the next step will be, okay, let me just shoot your comedy special. And so I did get the degree in cinema. And then I started my company, Truevision Media Group. And my mission statement is to inspire and uplift through the arts. So I love to take somebody where they are and help them get to that next level. Those are the things that kind of come natural to me. And those are the things that I'm most passionate about. Because I always think, Monica's tough. I'm going to get it anyway. But is the next person going to get it? Because we're not the same. I always tell you, Rich, that I was raised with a lot of love. Mm-hmm. And I come from entrepreneurs. My grandmother manufactured her hair product in the basement. She owned the store in the corner and she raised 10 kids. So if you grow up watching that in your life, that's instilled in you and you're trained to be able to make it yourself. But then you have people around you, they may not have those same skills, or advantages. So I just find excitement in helping other people get to where they need to. I think that serves me in a way,
Yeah. Yeah. And also you come from entrepreneurs, you also come from spiritual, right? I mean, that's part of your background too, that led to this.
Yeah, I laugh about it. My mom's oldest brother and youngest brother both were, pastors at churches. And so we pretty much would be in church almost every day. I don't care whether it was church service on Sunday, then there's Monday night church business meeting, Tuesday night prayer meeting, Wednesday night choir rehearsal, Thursday night youth meeting. And so, like I said, that was a part of my foundation. And so I'm spiritual in the sense, when my eyes open in the morning, I say a specific prayer. I thank God for my life. I thank God that I'm still here. I thank God for my health and strength. And so these are the things that feel right to me, feel good to me. And I find my strength in that. I find my strength. And I think that's why I'm who I am today, is because my spiritual background, because that's my strength. Without that, I'm nothing.
I mean, you've got entrepreneur entrepreneurial roots, spiritual roots. And so what comes naturally to you is not just business, but it's inspiring people, right? Like it's kind of, it's kind of what you were made to be, what you were meant to be, right? Is to inspire people through your business skills, through the abilities that you developed in the rest of your career. And like you're kind of bringing it all together in what you do now.
Yeah, it's a story. I always say it's a story. My journey is definitely a story, a different kind of story. But I believe that it was in the cards from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that from the very beginning, when I was a kid, I said, I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to live in Hollywood. I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to be like Michael Jackson. I'm going to be this and that. And because I was passionate about those things, I think God said, no, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure you have skills. I'm going to make sure you're educated. I'm going to make sure that you have a spiritual foundation so you're protected as you go on your journey. And I truly believe that in my heart, in my every being, believe that I was, set up, because I've gone, I think I may have mentioned to you, I've driven from Los Angeles to Vegas at least 5 times in a car by myself. Car never broke down. Nothing ever happened. I've gone to comedy clubs that were miles away, hours and hours away by myself. I was always by myself, but I was never by myself. I felt like God put angels on my shoulders, and he's always put me around great people. And I have that to pay forward, to give it to other people, because I know I have it. So I have to give it, So yeah, I love my journey.
Yeah. But it makes so much sense, at least over here to me, that all of these things really just added up, and all of these pieces of your path were just important pieces of the puzzle to get you to be doing what you wanted to do since you were a young girl, and basically that you're living the dream that you created.
Yeah, that God created through me. He created Absolutely. Through me. Yeah, went through me.
So you're working on some stuff that you're excited about. Like I know, like you're producing a couple of there's a couple of films in the works that you're producing, right? You want to tell me a little bit about that, whatever you can?
Yeah, I have a film that I'm gonna be shooting in the month of July. I'm excited about that, and it's about a female boxer. I'm always excited about stories about females. Because I'm a female and I want to tell our stories. So that's I'm excited about that. And that project actually came through Clubhouse. There's somebody that I met on Clubhouse. We partnered up and we're doing that project. Nice. The second one is a follow-up to the app that stole Christmas film. That's a follow-up to the one that's out now, still out on Netflix. The app.
Yeah, such a fun movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have those 2 projects, and I'm definitely going to get to my documentary in my book this year. And then the most exciting project is a television show that I created, and I'm partnering up with a major network and a major iconic celebrity. And we're almost close to that announcement coming out in the near future, probably before the month of April. It's over. So yeah, a lot of good stuff.
I can't wait to hear about that once it's public, once it's official. And yeah, so in addition to that, you also do kind of like on Clubhouse, you've done a recurring room called Trials to Triumphs. And you tell stories, and then you bring people up to tell stories about how they were, at one point things were difficult. Maybe they were ready to give up, and that they overcame. And so it's been extremely inspiring. I've been there with you in that room for, it seems like the last couple of months now. We've been doing this, or you've been doing it, and I've just been there as part of it, and which I love and appreciate. But I found out today that you've done before, like Trials to Triumphs events or luncheons or things of that nature. So it's been something that's been important to you for a while. So could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah. While I was building my relationship with the network, just trying to learn about TV shows, about how they're produced. And even though I took pitch classes at this particular network over the years, I studied to get my degree in television. I would walk the lot with my mentor and he would say, oh, they shoot this particular show on this lot and they shoot this show on this lot. And he would always say to me, the goal is it's like checking in a hotel and never checking out. So once you get on the lot, stay creating the next show. So if your show gets canceled, you already have something else that you can present to the network to be on deck. And so I always had that in mind to create, a series of shows. And so I said, well, what better way to build a relationship with the network than to invest? So let me invest in some projects. So I did a couple of panels, like women empowerment panels, and a couple of luncheons. I wouldn't even call them luncheon, like a brunch, like a Grammy brunch. Whenever there was a Grammys or Oscars or something, I would say, okay, here's the time, I can use this as a time to do a brunch where I can invite people and give it a theme. And so I did Trials to Triumph. I did a Trials to Triumph panel called the Women Triumphants and True Visionaries. So it's all coming together. I'm telling you, everything in my life starts with, here's a seed planted, and then seeds are sowed. They plant it, and then they grow. They plant it. And so that's the story of my life. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's about you using media to inspire other people, which is amazing. And, I love that. It's so great to get to talk with you and kind of hear about the path that you've gone through that brought you here to this moment.
Yes.
And yeah.
The path,
so cool, and it all makes sense, and I love to see you like really living the dream that you created. And if people want to learn more about you or get in touch with you, how they go about doing so?
Truevision Media Group. You can just Google Truevision Media Group or Monica Floyd, and everything comes up. My IMDb with all the films that I've done, everything comes up. But Truevision Media Group has an Instagram. Truevision Media Group has a LinkedIn. But I think Monica Floyd on LinkedIn is good. And at Dollface Music on Instagram. And that's Dollface spelled with the DOLLPHACE music. I had to put the PHACE. And speaking of the PHACE music, I had to trademark that.
Right.
I had to trademark that in the Truevision Media Group. So that's why I always see the value in you, because that was really important when I started my company. As I told you, my sister's an attorney. She was like, oh, you have to do your trademarks. And we did the trademarks, and I've had them now since 2007. Yeah.
An important part is, establishing your brand and protecting your brand. So, yep. Awesome. Well, Monica, so glad to have you on this program. Thanks so much for being here.
And so glad to be here. You are definitely, I want your listeners to know that Rich Goldstein is one of the kindest, most generous people and genuine people that I've met. And I met him on Clubhouse. We're East Coasters, didn't know him before Clubhouse, and just an amazing person that's so supportive to everyone and just has such value to give, in your lane and in life. So I'm always going to be here. I'll be on your Thursdays at noon, sitting on that panel. Even when I start my shows, I'll be tuning in, even if it's 15 minutes, I'll be checking. As long as you're doing the show, I'm going to show up, or my sister or a representative, somebody's going to be there. And I'm so happy to be here. I've gotten a lot of DMs. We want you to do a podcast. And a lot of them I haven't even responded to. So you are number one. Let your family know, your wife, your kids, let everybody know that you're the best and nobody's better than you. And Monica said it.
Thank you.
Yes, I can't wait to meet the family. I know I'm going to meet them.
Yes,
because
you are. Yes,
you're
you
a
are.
great guy. You're
Absolutely.
a great guy. You represent them well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks again for being here.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Rich. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.